forgot to make an intro for this video, but who gives a shit? These are all the books that I read for the Asian Readathon for May.
It's Brittany, bitch.
So after my fiasco with the first book of the month that I decided to read, I have decided to pick up Legend. So Marie Lu writes dystopians, and I was like, girl, I'm gonna pick this up. It's been on my bookshelf, honestly, for like a few years because my friend gave me this book. She donated a lot of books to me, and this is one of them. And actually, this is signed by Marie Lu, but not to me. So honestly, update, I already finished it. I have been super lax with my video editing slash filming because honestly, I've been working 10 to 11 hour days at work because they decided to increase my work because they thought that I wasn't working hard enough. So that's lovely, and work has been pretty much excruciating. I've had zero motivation to film my experiences slash talk about them slash even write reviews slash even read. I have actually been enjoying my old favorite, The Sims. But I actually finished this yesterday night. I finished it last night. Okay, so we're gonna get some spoilers here because this book has been out for literally forever. Okay, so it's been out for quite a while. So if you haven't read it yet and you really don't want to know anything about it, other than the fact that it is a dystopian novel with two main characters and different points of view, and basically we're fighting a republic, a plague, and the military. Sign off. So I actually really liked this, pretty much like the whole way through. I definitely had some issues with it. Number one, some of the things that I enjoyed about this book. So I obviously love dystopians. I love the themes. As soon as like a plague was involved, I was actually kind of upset because it didn't make sense to me. I was like, okay, how is this plague evolving every single year? How is it affecting different sectors? I was like, the only way that a plague that is the same plague can evolve in less than hundreds of years via virology is if it's bioengineered. And I was like, okay, so if this is a natural plague, this is, I was like, this isn't a natural plague. There's no way. There's 100% no way this is a natural plague. And I was kind of annoyed with it because it was acting as if it was a natural plague, if that makes any sense, and they were getting vaccinated for it. And I was like, okay, well, if they're getting vaccinated for it every single year, which is ridiculous, you should only have to get vaccinated once. It's immunotherapy. That's how it works. You get it one time. That's it. I was like, this doesn't make any fucking sense. I'm so confused. And I was pissed because I was like, this is not how viruses work. So then they find the main character, Day. He's one of the main characters. He's our criminal, and he's 15. We're not gonna get, okay, I'm talking about the things I like first. One of the things I liked, okay. So, Day, he finds this fabulous little vent underneath his house where his brother has gotten some new form of the plague. And I was like, oh, this better be my fucking shit. Oh, please God, tell me that they're piping this shit in. Please tell me they're venting this virus. I can't wait. Boom. Yes, they were. They find out obviously towards the end, but like the buildup of that was the best part of this whole book for me because I was like, oh, please be, I want to be right. Oh, please be like bioengineered shit because this fucking republic is so fucking rude and criminal and sinister. So my favorite words, I love things that are fucked up. And you know what's fucked up? Infecting people with the plague and vaccinating others. So I really love that about this book. I'm not gonna lie. The plague was my favorite part. I also love dystopians. I also love like kind of like a rags to riches story. I love like two characters, like one's really rich, one's really poor, and they have no idea how the other one lives. And it's really beautiful to see that. Okay, now on to things I didn't like about this book, which are exponentially longer. As an update, I gave this, I think I'm gonna give it 4 stars, like a solid 4, because there were so much more things that I would have enjoyed. Number 1, the amount of parentheses used in this book should be unholy. If these were direct journal entries, which they kind of were and they kind of weren't. It was like talking about things in the present tense, like things were happening, but it was sometimes like they were talking to you, and I really didn't like that. I think you should choose a point of view. Either it's their point of view and we're seeing everything how it is, I mean, or you could do separate journal entries of things that did happen, if that makes any sense. That would have made more sense for me. I would have liked it to be a point of view. It's like third person, that's it. or it's first person and there's no weird asides, because there was like parentheses, like over explaining things, which just felt even like an insult to the young adult genre. This was such a young adult book for me, and that's kind of how I feel about that writing. Some of the writing was like weirdly choppy and unemotional. Like, something terrible would happen and I didn't feel shit. Like, the story is entertaining, but like, I don't really care about these characters. I don't know. And then on top of that, like, number 3005, it was very insta-lovey. Like, at first I was like, okay, well, it's natural for them to like feel things about each other. And then when I really looked at the timeline, I was like, you have not known each other, you haven't even known each other for like 2 weeks at this point. Like, you don't really want to like die for each other. Even at 15, like most kids, Also, like a millionth point, these kids are 15. How could he be like a war criminal? How could a 15-year-old like rob a bank in 10 seconds and scale a wall in like less than 5? It just doesn't make sense. Like, even if you've grown up that way your entire life, like, I just feel like it's crazy. And then on top of it, like, they're both prodigies because they both got like perfect tests at the trial, and the trial basically tells you what you're gonna do with your life, whether you're gonna be high up in the military and make lots of money, or if you're gonna be like sent off to labor camps. Oh, and surprise, labor camps don't exist. People literally are like tested on in labs and then thrown away. Beautiful. Like, I love that kind of like gross, I can't even. I love that kind of like gross government, because you know what? People don't realize that governments can do things like that. And they do. Governments put people in camps just because of their race. How interesting. Also, I'm just gonna apologize for this lighting right now because it's obviously very, very late. It's after 7 when I finished work. I've been working since 8. And it's really overcast and like kind of rainy-ish outside, which I know is surprising for y'all who don't realize that California can do that. But I don't mind that much. But the problem is, obviously, since I had to film so late, even like the last hour, I lost like so much. I lost so much light. Both my lights are on my room right now, actually, and my Himalayan salt lamp, and I can barely see myself in the reflection. Also, side note, I feel like I'm doing a really poor job of explaining this, but I'm just bone tired, and I already had 3 full days of working 10, 11-hour days, and I'm just really tired. So overall, I really liked this book. I enjoyed a lot of aspects of it. I especially loved like the plague part. I really can't wait to see, like, I kind of hope they do more about it. Like, I want to see more about the plague. I also love the governmental corruption. And you know what? This felt very Hunger Game-esque, but it was not up to the caliber of the Hunger Games for me. I liked the 2 main characters and 2 different perspectives and how they meet, and that all felt very realistic. But the insta-love was a little frustrating. I would have been perfectly fine if, here's me with almost every fucking book. You know what? Don't get together in the first book, get together in the second. They had 1 kiss on the streets in this book, like towards the middle, and I was like, this is perfect. It's like 1 kiss, it's like 1 little and that's it. And I would have been totally fine with that, and I would have preferred it that way. But no, at the end, they like basically are escaping what happened and are like making out in a train car, and it's kind of like annoying. Like, I understand you're 15 and you have a lot of hormones and you just both basically escaped death and you're like escaping a republic, and I think they're going to Las Vegas or something to go find one of the other girls that was with them. But like, my frustration is just real. I really don't like insta-love. I also really don't care for these characters. They're both really bland and empty. Like, I fucking love Katniss from like the Hunger Games. Like, Katniss is just, Katniss is the OG bad bitch. Katniss has seen some shit. She saw some shit before this book even started. And I appreciate that. And she's really young, but like, you know she's had like a really, really hard life. And for Day in this book, I can make a lot of sense of that. But June is brought up by the Republic, and I understand that she's been trained her whole life to basically be like an army weapon. But at the same time, like, even if you're that young, like, you still have like, your brain still isn't fully developed. Your frontal lobe is not developed still. So she was just like almost too calculating and stuff for me. Like she felt like they both felt like much older characters. If they would at least said they were like 18, 19, I would find this more believable. But 15, like you cannot escape a government for 5 years since you were fucking 10. Like he's 15, they've escaped him from years. Like there's no way as like a 12-year-old you were pulling off a fucking bank heist. It just doesn't make any sense. What the fuck is that? So for that, I'm giving it 4 stars for sure. I really enjoyed it. This is the first book I've actually finished for the Asian Readathon. Technically, I actually finished I Am Malala for this. Cause I just could not wait for like the day of May 1st to read it when I got it on audiobook. So I already read I Am Malala and Legend. So next I picked up Honolulu by Alan Brennert. He wrote one of my favorite books. I had to reread it because maybe it's not one of my favorite books anymore. I don't know. But he wrote Molokai, and he is not from Hawaii, but he writes about Hawaii, and he's a frequent island visitor, and he's constantly going over there. And this story actually starts in Korea. So I've actually started reading it. I'm only about 20 pages in. And I really like it so far. It's already like, it's already wavelengths past the first book of the month. And for Legend, it already surpasses that in terms of character development, which is crazy. It's so sad that 20 pages into a book gives me more feeling and emotions than an entire 300 pages. That was my one big issue with Legend. I just did not feel for anything. It was an interesting story, probably make for a cool movie, but like I don't care about the characters, and already 20 pages into this, I'm just feeling for this poor woman who's actually named Regret, because this touches on so many like, I just love Asian literature, especially those like back in time. I believe we're already up to the 1912s. The 1912s? This is already up to 1912, I think, where she's like 15 and she's gonna get shipped off basically to Hawaii to be like a mail order bride. But I haven't gotten to that part yet. But it's just like starting in the beginning and her life currently in Korea and living with her family and how things work. I just love learning about that shit. I love it. I just like feed on it, and I love like learning about the different foods they eat and the different customs and traditions of that time. So interesting. I think that's something I love, is I love the things that have like culture in it. Like I love a bit of culture, and I'm obsessed with Asian culture, and I don't know why, but I'm really obsessed with like how it used to be and like old Asian traditions, and like how they would set out feasts, and like this meat is in the east, that meat is in the west. And it's just crazy how like the boys obviously were favored, and they still are like today, right, in Asian cultures. Not everywhere, so like that's a generalization, but I mean I know that's been an issue, and I know that's something I don't know if we'll ever leave that culture specifically. I guess it's pretty true of like all cultures, honestly, but it's just something I think is really prevalent, like that I read about so much in Asian literature. It's just so sad about how like she's literally named Regret, and like so many other women like in this story, like all the little girls are named Sorrow or Sadness. Like their parents give them that name like Sadness because they were sad when they were born and they weren't a boy. That is fucking depressing. So 20 pages into this, it already hurts my heart. He's so good at that. Like Alan is just the master of heart. As a side note for this too, I got this from Goodwill. I get a lot of my books secondhand from Goodwill, and here's one of the reasons why. Number one, it just smells like crack. It smells like a really old book, and I love it. Secondly, I have had this book for years, and I've never noticed there's actually a bookmark already in here that someone left. Do you see this? It's like a French bookmark. Because the pages are so old and weathered, like when you look at this like this, I didn't really like see it. Like I didn't notice it. So also I'm really excited because I love Korea. I used to have Korean roommates actually in college, so that really got me interested in their culture. And she starts in Korea, and then she's gonna move to Hawaii. So the Hawaii move is coming up. I'm very excited for that because I also love Hawaii. So I'm excited for when it gets to there because it's gonna be so good. It's gonna be so good. This book, I'm gonna predict it's gonna be 5 stars because his last book for me was also 5 stars. I feel like it might be another one of those situations. I don't know. We're gonna see. But I'll keep you updated on this. I'm actually going to try to keep you updated because I was going to do it with Legend, but it just ended up being basically a book review. Anyway, it's time for me to go Jack in the Box because I am not making dinner, because when I get off work this late, it's really throwing off my schedule for eating, number one, because it's just way too difficult to cook dinner because dinner can take 30 to 40 minutes. I mean, every recipe from Dinnerly says they'll take 20 to 30 minutes, but that's also kind of a generalization because you have to like prep some of the stuff and then have it cook for 25 minutes. So it could in total take like 40 minutes to get it all together. And that's just too long to like, for me right now, like I just want to go Jack in the Box 7 minutes down the road, grab my food and come right back. So we're going to be having some Jack in the Box tonight and watching Malcolm in the Middle for like the millionth time. I'm rewatching the show because I need something happy in my life. Okay, talk to you later, bye. So I just finished Honolulu. I just love his writing. His writing for me is just, I'm kind of speechless. I just feel like I've lived an entire life with this woman. And I think that's exactly what he wants you to feel. Like I feel so heavy and light at the same time. I actually cried last night reading this. I cried. I bawled in the bathroom. Because when I get ready for bed every night, I tend to read, and that's my time to read. Like I'm brushing my teeth and I'm reading along. And there was a scene, and I was just bawling my eyes out, and I could not help myself. It was just so weirdly sad to me. And there was so much more heartbreak in this book, but that scene just really got me. Around page 360, tears. So to like sum up more what this was about is basically this woman named Jin. Her name actually is not Jin in the beginning. In the beginning, her name is Regret. Her parents named her Regret because they regretted having a daughter. That's horrible. But anyway, she basically renames herself Jin, which means gem, and she lives her life in Hawaii. So she basically comes to Hawaii as a picture bride after living with her family in Korea and coming over on steamboat in like the most horrible conditions imaginable, and there she meets her husband that she's supposed to be married to. From this point, there are so many different things that happen, and I just don't want to ruin it for you, but it's like there's a crazy life story, and it's also kind of during the time of the Depression. So we went to like from the roaring 20s and this amazing like glamour and rich luxury lifestyle, and then to kind of see the backbone of the real America, of the people who had to suffer during that time and those who were struggling for the corporations and working in plantations. It's a very hard read, but at the same time, it's a very easy read. Like, I found every minute of this pretty much enjoyable. Like, there was no time when I was bored. There was no time where I was, like, thinking wish I was reading something else, because we all do that, too. You know when you're reading a book and in your head you're thinking about something else? I didn't do that with this book. And I just don't do that with his writing, I suppose. As soon as this is over, I need to just go pick up some more of his stuff, because I've loved the last 2 books of his, and I'm going to give this a 5-star. There's nothing in it that I can say that I didn't like. There's nothing in there that I was like, didn't really like that, didn't like this character, this didn't make sense. I just can't do that with this story. This just feels like a real woman who lived, and he actually based his characters off of real people during that timeline. And it's just like, Changapana, boy, if you read this, I love that fucking policeman. He is like the funniest shit I've ever seen. Like, I love him. Like, he's one of those weird characters that you just instantly love. Just like how she instantly loves him in this. Like, he's just, love him. So I don't really want to spoil anything else that's going to happen in this for you, because there's so many other complex things that happen that like lead to this event, that lead to this event, that lead to this. So if I told you any more past that, past her like going to Hawaii and meeting her future husband, I can't tell you anything else. Like, you just have to read it for yourself. But I say I'm doing pretty well. It's already 5:20, and I wanted to finish all my books for the Asian Readathon in the month of May, but I'm just not foreseeing that as being possible, since the beginning of the month was ruined by a book I will not mention that ruined my life, and didn't ruin my life, it just took forever. And it took over a week for me to not finish it. So it's really set me back the whole rest of the month. So these wonderful books that should be getting more of my attention, just maybe pushed back a little bit longer, maybe into June. Although for June, I'm trying to do more of a Pride theme, right? Because it's June and it's Pride Month. But at the same time, there's so many books I have on hold on purpose from the library for June for Pride Month that I want to read, because I know they're LGBTQI books. There's an A on there. Sorry, I can't forget my peoples. Really, I was planning on spending the whole month reading me some good ass gay literature, okay? And I was very excited to, and I don't know if they're going to be able to open the libraries by then. Technically, our current shelter in place is supposed to end in like 2 days, I believe, but it could still get extended. And I don't know. I know a lot of restaurants are opening up and stuff on this Friday, but I don't know when the libraries are going to open, and that's like my biggest factor. Like, that's my biggest one. Also, why am I still holding you? I'm gonna put you down, baby. Yeah. So that's kind of like my biggest thing right now is I would really like to finish a lot of these, and I think I'm going to try to at least finish another one before the end of the month because that gives me like 10 days, and I'm sure I will finish one of them. So I still have A Little Life, The Valley of Amazement, and The Women of the Silk, I believe. It's just Women of the Silk, sorry. But this one I think will be my next one because it's a little bit shorter, even though the words are so tiny again. The words in that book too are really tiny. It's 431 pages, Honolulu is. And it's pretty tiny writing, and it fills up the whole page. Like, this even has like her name. No, the other one went a whole page. So this one's a little bit shorter. This one's not even a full 300 pages, but it's very tiny writing. But I'm actually hoping, since it's such a smaller book, I'm hoping I actually finish this in a time period and then maybe get to The Valley of Amazement, because A Little Life, I know, to me was one of my gay literature books that I wanted to suggest in June as like books to read that I've already read, but since I don't know if I'll be able to get to any other Pride books in that month, I'm just gonna plan on reading A Little Life in June, which I guess for my birthday, I'm just gonna be sad, crying over this book. Okay. So my next one's definitely gonna be this one. I'm just probably gonna try and start this tonight because my mom's coming over and she's bringing dinner, and we're probably gonna watch some stupid Disney Channel movie like Moana that she's watched 8,000 times. There's nothing wrong with Moana, by the way. It's a great film. It's just like I prefer other films more. Like Mulan. Wow, how fitting. I just am obsessed with Asian literature stuff. I'm obsessed with Asian culture, maybe. I can't help myself, okay? Mulan is my shit. Mulan is probably the best freaking Disney film that's ever been. I'm sorry. Nothing can beat Mushu. Nothing can beat that beautiful grandma. Nothing can beat any of it. Like, it's just, she literally saved China. She is badass. Like, no one else can take that away from Mulan, okay? I also really enjoy Brave. I'm trying to think of what other Disney things I like. What are the ones I watch all the time? I used to watch Hercules a lot. Also used to watch Tarzan a lot. But it's also because those are the ones that were always on Netflix. Like, every time I turned on Netflix before I had Disney Plus, there was only ever Tarzan and there was only ever, like, Hercules on there. And maybe every now and then Mulan or Mulan 2. Like, that was it. So maybe that's why it's influenced that. But since we've had Disney Plus, I've watched every single Disney film from the beginning of time. My old favorite used to be The Little Mermaid. Still love that. Eric's still a fucking idiot. Whatever. Sorry. Going off on a tangent, I just think about how mad I am at some of my Disney films because when you're a kid, they're so much different than when you're an adult. When you're an adult, it's like nostalgic. But then you realize like how stupid they was. Like, I even thought how stupid Little Mermaid was when I was watching it. And I was like, why can't you just write him a freaking note? And then I was like, oh, they don't speak the same language. But then I was like, okay, but they're speaking the same language to me. What? Also, Eric's stupid. I'm sorry. He's beautiful, but he's dumb. Maybe that's why it's my type. That's not true. I really hate dumb men. I just can't do it. Okay, anyway, I kind of started reading a little bit of this, and it seems very reminiscent of my Honolulu-esque writing that I love from Mr. Brennert. I already read a little bit of it, like, the other way, just to, like, see what, I kind of want to see which book I wanted to try first, and this was the one that was a little more interesting to me at the time. I also found this, so I got this from a bookstore, right? There's something for a Tarama Ski Club in Mount Bueller. And at the back it says Danielle Green, CS Green at bigpond.com.au. I kind of just want to email them because I have no idea like what that's about. Obviously someone used this as a bookmark and they left it in there. But I kind of like love these weird tidbits. That's one of the things I love about going to Goodwill and stuff. And there's so many like cute little tidbits you can get from places, like from people and things. And like I just love like those little things. Like there was a bookmark left in Honolulu. I don't know, it's like weirdly beautifully comforting that someone else already read it. I don't know, it's like passing through time. It's like passing a torch. I'll be giving an update on Women of the Silk as soon as I can, hopefully within the next couple of days. I'm hoping I can finish it by like next Monday, which I know like sounds like a long time from Wednesday to Monday, but that to me sounds pretty reasonable for how I'm reading right now and how I've been trying to not read every 5 freaking seconds like I do to finish books sometimes. May has definitely been my lowest month for reading all year. Definitely 100% the lowest, but it's also nicer because I really needed to take the time to just do other things that I enjoy. It's nice to be able to just listen to music at work and not listen to an audiobook all day. It just depends on my mood, and I'm just trying to be more kind and self-loving to myself and not being so like determined all the time. It's nice to have a slight break. It's nice to be able to listen to music or listen to my YouTube videos and my favorite creators, because when you're constantly reading or listening to audiobooks and I'm not being able to enjoy my favorite TV shows or play my favorite video games, I mean, my health just suffers a little bit. Like, I do love reading, but I want to be able to enjoy it. And Honolulu especially was one of those books that I actually really enjoyed the whole way through. And it kind of made me feel the love again for some reading, because I know sometimes when I read books and they're not good, it can really put like a damper on your reading. Like sometimes when you read a bad book, you're like, wow, that was trash. Let me pick up another one. Other times when you read a book and it's bad, it's really hard to get back into it. So I'm just trying to keep up a reading streak because I've already surpassed my 50 books goal for the year, and I'm trying to go for 75 while also still trying to start my novel a little bit more because I barely started it last year. So now at night too, I'm trying to go through and kind of edit my original stuff and add to it. So I'm trying to be more productive overall without tiring the shit out of myself on one thing. I'll give you an update as soon as I have one. Hello, all you crazy party people. I'm back to talk about this. So I was planning to finish all those books this month. That's not gonna happen. So number one, that is my laundry hanging in the background. Sorry, it's laundry day, it's gotta happen. Where the hell else am I going to hang up my shit that has to be hung dry? Secondly, it was 103 here today in California, so I had my blinds closed literally the whole day, and this is the first time I've opened them, but it's way too dark outside for me to get any light in here because I end work at like 7 o'clock and it's way too late to get any extra natural light coming in, so I'm using my lovely light, which is extremely blinding. Also, it's gonna be 103 again tomorrow, so cool. Our AC has been on since 8 o'clock this morning. Okay, now that that's over, let's talk about this book. I think I'm gonna give it a 3-star. It's not a Honolulu for me in any case. And I think that's because this book talks at you. It's not from the first person / a third person done better. That sounds bad. The novel is extremely dependent on this type of narration where she's basically telling us what's happening. It's not so much showing or expressing like their grief in a different way. She'll literally just tell you she went to sleep and cried herself to sleep. And then she's terribly exhausted from all of this. This in turn makes it like kind of very predictable, and it kind of talks down to the reader for me. It's just the way it's written. It had so much potential. Like it really stood out to me as a story, and I could go so many other places, but the characters just feel kind of barely sketched out because of this. Like they're ghosts of themselves. Like I didn't feel overly connected to anyone in this book. I mean, it's always like the offhand characters. The character I probably like fell in love with the most was Moi, M-O-I, and she was like the crazy cook of like the girls' house, and she was great. Like I loved her as a character, right? But I'm supposed to be feeling something for like my main character, Pei, and I do feel for her in a lot of ways, right? But I think that if this was written a different way, I would have felt more. Like I think that's the thing about Honolulu, right, is like I felt like everything that happened, and it felt so much more real and visceral. And in this, it just feels dreamy. It doesn't feel like I'm living through it. It doesn't feel like I'm just hearing a story from an old grandma, like the things that she lived through. And that's not exactly like my favorite part of novels, you know what I mean? There's also like a revolt in this novel where like the silk factory workers like refuse to work, and I feel like that was such a short-lived like revolt, number one, for like the size of the book, And then number 2, like something terrible happens and I just like didn't feel again. Like so much of this book, like I didn't feel when anything bad happened. And this just, I think it's just the narration style. And I think that's the way that it was written. I know that there's a sequel for this called like A Language of Threads, but I don't really know. Like, if it was gifted to me, I think I'd probably read it, but I'm not really sure if I would pick up a sequel on my own. Like, so many of the themes in this were just like on point, and so many like tropes and stuff that she wants to explore. Like, I love the themes of these. It just wasn't executed in a way that for me that was like my favorite thing to read. I would definitely recommend this. I feel like there's like a slight female romance. It's never fully actualized, and I think it was meant to be that way. Like, she didn't realize that she liked her that way. That's what I'm assuming. That's what I got from reading the book. I don't know. I haven't read anything else about that, but it was also in a lot of ways about female empowerment. Like, she was sold to the silk factory when she was like 8 years old or something, so her parents could basically like keep their farm and like keep living, and that is like so freaking sad. And she was sold, and then like her dad left, and she was like, where'd my dad go? And it was like heartbreaking, right? But she persevered, and she worked so hard at the silk factory and like made herself into her own woman. Like, it was a beautiful female empowerment story. I just really wish I was shown this and given more character development instead of just like I feel like I was just receiving events. Like, every time something would happen, I'm like, oh, that happened. Okay, that happened. Oh, this is gonna happen. It became very predictable. Like, I knew kind of what was gonna happen. I knew where it was going. I just wish things would have been explored a little bit better. I just like wanted to love this book more, and I just don't. I did really enjoy reading it though. Like, it's a very easy read. I mean, it's less than 300 pages, and I read this thing in 5 days, and I barely read it for like 3 of the days because it was Memorial Day weekend. Holla! So yeah, no, I wasn't reading. I did finish this yesterday on Memorial Day out by the pool, and I can see why it's like perfectly set up for a sequel, by the way. It's really set up for a sequel. And I think I still would like the sequel. I enjoy another character that gets added in at the end. I feel like that would be really good. I just feel like Pei deserved more. Like, I just wanted more, and I wanted it done differently. Like, the basis of the story is like some of my favorite like tropes and themes and stuff. Especially because it's Chinese American fiction, right? And like the Japanese are invading and raping and killing, and they're terrified for their lives and trying to work at a silk factory. And it was like such a story for these women who like didn't want to be sold to husbands and decided to frickin' like leave their husbands and go work, and they can have their mistresses and have their kids, and some of their money goes to them. Good for you, sweetie. Good for you. I love that aspect of this book. So overall, I think it was really good. I still think that you would really enjoy it. It just wasn't up to my power of a 5-star. I didn't get to A Little Life this month. It's just way too long. I just really did not have a good reading month for trying to catch up on books at all. So I will be reading A Little Life in June because it is LGBTQIA+, and I will be putting it in that category for June because I'm trying to read some more of those books in June for Pride Month. So I'm putting it in June. And I'm not going to get to the Valley of Amazement this month either. So that is a shame. But I'm really proud of myself that I at least read 4 of the books I was supposed to read out of the 6, especially because I had a huge reading slump in the beginning of the month. Like, huge. Like, it was like over a week long reading slump for me. And so in the last 3 weeks, I just trudged on. So that is the end of this reading vlog. I will talk to you guys later. I will be on soon. I'll be posting some Pride stuff for June because some of those books have come in. Only a few. I requested probably like 8, but I think I have a good 3 that are my Pride books that will be in from the library, so I'll be able to read those in the month of June. So I'll be keeping you guys updated on that. Okay, like, subscribe, do all that fun junk. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!